Hi, everyone. Welcome to this morning's League of Women Voters of Chicago briefing on the election that is happening on November 5th of this year. Early voting has already started. And thank you for joining us this morning. Just a couple of words about the League of Women Voters. We are a nonpartisan grassroots organization working to protect and expand voting rights and ensure everyone is represented in our democracy. We empower voters and defend democracy through advocacy and education. The League of Women Voters of Chicago encourages informed and active participation in government while influencing public policy. We never endorse or oppose political parties or candidates, but we are political. And we do this in two roles: voter service and citizen education. We present unbiased, nonpartisan information about elections, the voting process, and issues, such as this briefing this morning. And we also have a very large action and advocacy branch of what we do. We are nonpartisan, but after study, we use our positions to advocate for or against particular policies in the public interest. And I will also sort of do a plug for those of you who are members or maybe thinking of joining the league. We are still very, very busy going into this election cycle, and we would love to have volunteers with everything from voter registration, voter education initiatives, to a lot of events that we're getting asked to have a presence at going into this election to drum up sort of enthusiasm around getting out to vote. So if anyone has any time or bandwidth between now and the end of October, please reach out to me and I can connect you with some really valuable volunteer opportunities. So with that, I will turn it over to our Chair of Voter Service, Helene Gabelnick, who will continue the briefing. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. It's nice to see all of you here. I think some of this material is well known to a lot of you, so I'm going to go through it rather quickly, but until I get to the more specific things about the candidates, or about the election itself. So if I'm going too fast or if you have a question, please put it in the chat. Ray's going to monitor that and we can pick it up if it's a quick question that we can deal with. So the first thing, of course, you need to do or have people do is register to vote. Many of you have been using Form 275, the mail-in form that we use all the time. The deadline for the receipt of that, we're saying, is October 8th. They say the Board of Elections will take it at the 9th, but I wouldn't push it. If you want to register online, if you're helping anybody register online, the deadline for that is October 20th. If you
Helene,
go to yes, yes,
are you sharing your screen?
yes, I am.
I'm seeing you, not your screen.
Oh, goodness. Okay, so again, the deadline is October 8th for the mail-in form. So if you still have any of those Form 275s, please get them into the Chicago Board of Elections. Online, the deadline is October 20th. If you go online, it says the deadline is there. However, please remember that you can register in person at an early voting site, at any early voting site, and you can do that through Election Day. And on Election Day itself, you can register at early voting sites and at your home precincts. So if you're talking to people and they're not registered, or if there was a glitch in their registration and they didn't get back from the Board of Elections, please tell them that they have many opportunities to register. The only catch, if you register at an early voting site or on Election Day, is that you have to vote at the same time that you register. So they need to be ready to vote if they're going to do any research on the candidates before they go to register early. These are the general restrictions. In order to register, you have to be a citizen and turn 18 and so on. I think you know most of these. How do you vote? You can vote by mail. which used to be called absentee. You can vote early, and again, you can vote on election day. All Chicago voters can vote by mail, and return postage is provided. So if you go to the Board of Elections website, you can get all that specific information. Registered voters can apply for a vote by mail ballot online, and this is the link. If you apply online, the Chicago Board of Elections sends emails at these various times. Some of you already told me you got that. They started mailing their ballots on September 26th. So if you have applied for a vote by mail ballot, you should have received it by now. If not, double check. You can be on a permanent vote by mail list if you want to do that. And you can request a vote by mail ballot by mail if you don't have online facilities. You return the vote by mail ballot through a post office box if you like the post office. It has to be postmarked or returned by November 5th, or it can be placed in an official drop box. And again, these things here are all links. I will send you a PDF of everything I'm presenting so you can go to the links. What's important to know is that you cannot bring a completed vote by mail ballot cannot be turned in the voter's precinct. It has to be surrendered and a new ballot will be issued. What you can do, however, if somebody does that, is they can take their ballot, and if it's marked, they can actually run it through the scanner in the precinct, or they can use it to fill out the ballots that they get from their election judge. Okay, the next thing that we want to talk about is ballot information. So let me get that one. Were there any questions on this?
No questions.
No questions. Okay.
I have one.
Yes.
I haven't gotten my mail-in ballot yet, and I was on the list to automatically receive it
Mhm.
for each election. Should I send an email and request another one? How do I follow
They
up?
they won't send you another one. When
Helene, I
Not
would
sure.
wait till next
I
week.
would wait. How
Um,
long? Yeah, wait. Do you ever have trouble with your mail?
Well, not really. But I will be honest and tell you, I sometimes don't check it every day, so I will start checking it
Okay.
every day and
Why
be on
don't
the
you do
lookout.
that? Now, Pris, you said you received yours. When did it come?
no, I didn't receive mine yet. I got
Oh.
the emails that they had sent it, but I have not
Okay.
received it. So that's why I'm saying, they bring it to the post office. The post office then has to deliver it, and it can take a little while.
Did you receive an email that they had sent it? Who was asking?
Jane-
Did you receive an email that they had
You
sent
know,
it?
I think I'm gonna check my email.
Okay, why don't you do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it will
Jane,
come from Chicago Board of Elections, an
Yes.
email?
Yes,
Okay, and Jane just received her vote by mail ballot. The Board of Elections sends out the notification that it's been sent, and
yeah,
also Postal Service might affect it. So
yeah, give it another week before you start complaining, I would say. Okay, so let's look at the ballot itself. There are going to be two-sided ballots this time. They're available in 12 languages if you go to early voting. So if you know somebody who doesn't want it in English, I didn't list all the languages here, but they are all available. They're the first things on the
Helene,
ballot.
you need to share your
Yes.
screen. You need to
Oh,
share your
I'm-
screen again.
I'm sorry. Okay. Is it,
Yeah,
okay, are we there now?
yes. Now we are.
Okay. There are two-sided ballots. They're available in 12 languages at early voting. There will be 3 statewide advisory questions, and those are the first things on the left side of the ballot. You will choose to adopt or oppose each item. For the referendum to pass, it needs 50% plus 1 of those who vote on the issue must vote yes. These are the 3 questions. The first is called the Election Worker Protection Referendum. I don't know that I need to, do you want me to read this to you, or I think you can all read it? This has to do with protecting election workers, and we're hearing more and more about that, especially in other states. The second advisory question is a property tax relief and fairness referendum that has to do with should the Constitution be amended to put a 3% tax on income greater than $1 million for the purpose of property tax relief. There was a referendum to try to do this a couple of years ago or a couple elections ago, which did not pass. Again, these are advisory referenda. They do not, that this will not happen. It's to give the legislature advice as to what they're going to do. The third one has to do with medically appropriate assisted reproductive treatments, and they list a number of them here, and they want them included in health insurance plans in Illinois. Again, this is yes or no on this particular one. On the ballot, I just want to comment on this because there's a difference of how this is handled. On your ballot itself, there may be a line for a write-in candidate for a position. It's the responsibility of those candidates to publicize and to do campaigning that they are write-ins. Election judges in the precinct are provided with a list of official write-in candidates and can only report the votes for those. So they cannot say if you put in Mickey Mouse or somebody else who looks good for a particular position, that won't be reported unless Mickey Mouse filed as a write-in candidate. So here we have next on the ballot are US presidential and vice presidential candidates. Robert Kennedy Jr. has been taken off, but again, the printed ballot will still have his name there. He has withdrawn in Illinois. So if you go to vote in your precinct, there will probably be a sign that's posted that says he is not a candidate, but he will be on the printed ballot. Remember, these ballots need to get printed way in advance because then they need to be distributed to all the over 2,000 precincts in the city. So that's why it's still there. United States Representatives. There are 9 US congressional districts that include parts of Chicago. All of them have at least 2 candidates. We have Illinois state senators. There are 9 districts in Chicago where they will be elected for a 4-year term. 6 of these 9 districts have no opposition. They have only Democrats who are running. You also have the Illinois state representatives in Chicago. And again, these are the districts. If you want to know which district you're in, it's on your voter registration card. Or if you go to the Chicago Board of Elections and put in your name, it will tell you what districts you are in. There are 36 to be elected for a 2-year term. 21 of these have no opposition. 20 Democrat, and there's 1 Republican that has no opposition.
Hi, everyone. I'm Pris Mims. I'm going to be talking about the people running for office at either the Cook County or at the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District. And second, and oh, sorry, my Zoom thing is covering up the slideshow, so I'm sorry, I can't get to the there we go. Okay, very good. All right. So the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District, I hope you're all aware of this. This is the billion-dollar government that many people aren't aware of, but this is the board that oversees both the treatment of water that's taken basically from the river, the wastewater, and treats it before it goes onto the Mississippi River. As well as they're in charge of storm water management. And they work both with in the city as well as in suburban Cook. And essentially their district is the entirety of Cook County. So it's a 9-person board. Every 2 years, 3 of the positions come up for election. And so this is just showing you who will be on the ballot. They are 6-year terms. So we have 3 Democrats, 1 Green Party candidate, and 3 Republicans who are running. And then because we had someone who resigned and then someone was appointed, now we have a remaining 2 years of the original 6-year term, and there are 2 people running for that remaining 2 years of that originally a 6-year term. Now, Cook County. There are several county-wide positions up for election. First of all, the Cook County clerk. As many of you may know, Karen Yarborough, who had been elected to that position, died earlier this year. So now up for election for the remaining 2 years of the clerk's 4-year term are 3 candidates, a Democrat, a Libertarian, and a Republican. Now, the Cook County clerk, just so you know, they're in charge of the records, but also they're in charge of suburban county elections. So they're the equivalent, that office is the equivalent of the Chicago Board of Elections, but for suburban Cook. Then for the Cook County clerk of the circuit court, that position is also in charge of the records for the circuit courts. And there is it's a 4-year term that would start after the election. And we have 3 candidates from, again, Democratic, Libertarian, and Republican Party running. Then finally, for the countywide offices is the state's attorney. And that is a 4-year term. Again, we have a Democrat, a Libertarian, and a Republican all running for that position. And I think you all know that is basically the person who represents the people in both terms of prosecuting criminals, but also they do a lot of civil work and are representing the county in that case. So they actually bring in money for this office brings in money for Cook County as well as prosecuting criminals. Now, these are districts, so it does not include the entire county. First of all, we have the Cook County Board of Review, the 3rd district. And that is both comprised of city and suburbs. It is a 4-year term, and we have a Democratic and a Libertarian running for that office. The Board of Review, that's if you don't like the assessment that the assessor has given you can appeal to the Cook County Board of Review and see if they will change your assessment. Then we have 2 commissioner districts that are up for election. And that is because in the case of the 1st district, that was Brandon Johnson's district. And of course, he resigned to become mayor. So there's an unexpired remaining 2 years of his original 4-year term. We have a Democrat and a Libertarian running for that. The first district is basically on the west side of Chicago and into the central western suburbs. And then finally, we have the second district for the Cook County Commissioner Board. And in that case, the incumbent, Dennis Deere, died earlier this year, but that is not a contested race. There's only one candidate running. And that was the person who was actually appointed to that seat by the ward and committeemen earlier this year. So that is it for me. Any questions before I move on?
Nothing in the chat.
Okay, stopping the sharing.
Okay, the next thing that we're going to talk about is the Chicago Board of Education. And I have a few slides, but Ray Sokolow is going to say a lot more than is on this slide. So let's just start with what's on the ballot, and then she can fill you in on the rest of the matter. So Ray, if you want to start with this is just information about what you're going to be voting for. Let me make a comment, however. On the ballot, it says Chicago Board of Education. A lot of the things that you'll see online and other places say Chicago School Board or Chicago Elected School Board. Those are all the same body, but they're just using different names all over the place. So Ray, go ahead. I'll be quiet.
Okay, the Chicago voters are going to begin electing the school board members during this general election. And this is the first phase to a fully elected school board, which will be in 2027. Chicago has been divided into 10 districts. Each district has been divided into 2 sub-districts. Candidates must reside in the district they represent. We will elect 1 representative from our district, and the mayor will appoint a second one. The mayor, after the election, the candidate that won will either be in sub-district A or B. The mayor will then appoint a different board member from the sub-district that was not elected. So if the person that was elected is in sub-district A, the mayor must appoint someone from sub-district B. These members will serve 2 years. So you have to identify your school district before you go to election. On the ballot, it will have your district, so you'll only get a choice in your own district. But you should know what district you're in, and that is on your voter identification card. It'll tell you school district. Or you can go to the Chicago Board of Elections to find your district, the candidates, and get some information. On the screen share, there is one place you can go to find out about the candidates. On that information, the candidates give their background information and why they feel they should be elected to the school board. The largest is in District 4, where they have 6 candidates running for the 1 position. We have some districts a lot of districts have 2 or 3 people, and in District 5, there's only 1 person running. So it's important before you vote to find out your candidates' positions, because these are people that you normally don't see. These are people that normally don't run for anything. These are people that are just running probably for the first time. Another place to look, WBEZ also has Chicago School Board elections, and again, you can find the background and information on all candidates. As you should be aware, the entire school board, which Mayor Johnson appointed, has resigned. Monday morning at 10:30, the mayor will appoint 7 new members. These members will only serve till December 31st. And this is because of a disagreement because the CEO, Pedro Martinez, and the mayor have a disagreement on whether the school board should do a short-term borrowing of $300 million. And the money would go to help support the negotiations with the school teachers union, which is right now there is ongoing negotiations with the school board and the teachers union. And it has to do, of course, with money. Right now, just for your information, there's a lot of money floating into the Chicago School Board election. Millions of dollars are going to support various candidates. And so it's important for you to find the candidate that you feel is best serving your needs. You need to be ready to vote because it will say the Board of Education election. And you should get out your sample ballot, or you should just look at the different candidates in your district, because each one is supports different ideas. Some of them, when there's 6 candidates, some of them are very similar, but you need to know who is supporting them, whether it's the teachers union, the charter schools. So this election, the members that are elected and appointed this time will begin January 2025 and will only serve for 2 years. I don't know if there's any questions that anybody has.
I should just comment in terms of the layout of the actual ballot. Ballot 1 has the state stuff. On the back side, you have the election of judges, and by itself is the school board elections. On the second ballot, it's all the retention of judges. So this particular item does have a place by itself on the back side of the first ballot. So it's easy to find if you're not somebody who's interested, and we'll talk about judges in a minute, in electing judges, you can go beyond the election of judges and you can look at the school board issue.
I have a question for Ray. There are no staggered terms for these school board? Everybody does 2 years, and then what happens?
On this election. Then in 2 years, there will be a new election, and that will be for all the school board members, and they will start their term in 2027. It will be a fully elected board. Right now, it's a hybrid board where the mayor appoints half the people and the voters elect about half the people. You'll elect 10 members of the 21-member board, and the mayor will appoint 10 members plus the president of the board. And that's just for the first 2 years. And then they will become staggered elections at the next election.
Yeah, in 2027, half of them will be elected for 2-year terms. The other half will be elected for 4-year terms.
4-year terms.
Correct. Yeah, it's a confusing way with the sub-districts, the districts and the sub-districts. And right now, you're just going to vote for one person. And some people think it's important to know what sub-district they live in. Others just think just vote for your district and see what happens. So, any other questions?
Look, since we've been talking about it, we're going to go on to the information about the judges. So in Chicago, there are two things that are happening with judges. The first is the election of judges. And we will be electing Supreme, Appellate, Circuit, and Sub-Circuit judges. There's one position for Supreme Court, 4 positions in the Appellate Court, and 11 positions in the Circuit Court. And that depends on which sub-circuit you are in. There are 11 sub-circuits, a total of 18 candidates. All the candidates are Democrats. It's a partisan election for judges, and there's no opposition. So you can see voteforjudges.org, the Illinois Voter Guide, which just is now live and is all updated with your races. I highly recommend that you go to the IllinoisVoterGuide.org, and it will give you a lot of information, and it has information from the candidates and and what's there. There's also a website called InjusticeWatch.org, which has information on the sitting judges. In particular, it tells you whether there have been complaints about them and all sorts of things. The last time I looked, this wasn't live yet for this election, but it will be shortly. On the judicial retention ballot, this is appellate and circuit courts in Cook County. There are 76 judges who are being asked, do you want to retain them? And you will vote yes or they need 60% on yes in order to be retained.
Oh
My
God.
history of following this in Chicago is that I have yet to see a judge not retained. Typically, the judges get about 70% yes. And occasionally you'll see them getting in the low 60% yes. And that happens if there's been a lot of publicity about a particular judge. Last time around, there was a judge who took off her robe, gave it to her clerk, and had her clerk sit there. She ended up being removed from her judgeship before the election. So this didn't apply to her. So sources of
Helene?
information, yeah.
One thing is on the retention, those same websites, Injustice Watch and voteforjudges.org will also have information about the retention judges as well. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
right, yes. If there's an issue, that's right. Okay, the Chicago Board of Elections website, and I can actually pull that up and look at it in a bit if you think that that would be useful. You can get all the information and more that you need about your registration, your polling place, your sample ballot, the status of your vote by mail ballot. Again, this is just a repeat of some of this information. So far, the Chicago Tribune has spotty stuff about their recommendations. They don't have a general page. So what I want to do is to bring up, sorry. Let's look at the Chicago Board of Elections. So here we have the Chicago Board of Election Commissioners. So what would you like to know about? Does somebody want to have a question about something?
Helene, why don't you go to the home page?
I was on the home page.
No, go.
I'll get it.
All you have to do is click on the
Yeah, I
symbol
got
on
it.
the left. There we
I
go.
got it. Okay. So here's the home page. Early voting is now open. These are some of the things you can do. So here's a useful thing. Verify your voter registration, locate your precinct, find your sample ballot. They're now available. Check the status of your vote by mail request. So there's all of this information available. I don't know if you want me to, if somebody who's not familiar with this wants me to look up something for them, I can. But why don't we look at my sample ballot? Sorry.
You need to click, you can't, yeah, okay. Go back to the street direction, Helene.
I know.
Okay,
You can't just type it in, you have to use their scroll.
and then you need the street suffix.
Okay. No, you don't.
Oh, okay, good.
That they took that away. Okay, so this is me. So here's all the things I can do. I can vote by mail. I can join the permanent roster to vote by mail. I can sign up as a poll worker, which I have already done, but that's a separate issue. Okay, so this is my ward, my precinct. Here's my district information. We talked about the judicial sub-district. They're not in the same order as anything on the ballot, but okay. So this is Chicago Police District. We voted for those people last time around. And here's my school board district, which is 8. I can click here and see all the public officials that serve me. I'm not going to do that right now. I can figure out how to get to my polling place. But what I wanted to show you was a sample ballot. So here's my sample ballot. So this is the front page of ballot number 1. So we talked about, here's the 3 issues, the state referenda. Here are the candidates, state's attorney, Supreme Court. This is the back of the first page. So here's the circuit court for me. And here's the member of the Board of Education. So that's why I said at least it was sort of by itself in a position that you could find it. This is the back side, or I'm sorry, this is ballot number 2. These are all the retention judges. It's been my experience as an election judge that many people do not fill out the second ballot. They sort of just turn it in and don't vote for any of that. Okay,
Elaine.
yes.
I found it helpful. You know, there's only about 6 or 7 or 8 judges that the bar associations say vote no to. So I found it helpful just to identify those and vote yes for everyone. I mean, because how else are you supposed to educate yourself really? Except the judges that people who are knowledgeable about the judges know. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, that's the way I do it. And when I've told people that, they seem, they like the idea of it. But I mean, there's people that just vote no for everyone because they just don't like judges. I mean, that's ridiculous, really, because there are many good judges. But anyway.
Yeah, well, that's the point. You could print, that's the reason that you go to this and you print out your sample ballot. And then you can go to these websites and decide what you want to do. And you can take that into the polling place with you as your cheat sheet. Or if you're voting by mail, you can sit there and do it at that time. So it's very, very helpful to get that. But yes, that's the beauty of these sites. You can look up people and see who you'd like to vote against, or vote no for.
It's an
I
easier
I
way to
should
do it.
comment, however, that of all the elected officials that you vote for, the person you are most likely to interact with is a judge. Whether you get a traffic ticket, whether there's something else going on in your life that involves a court, that's probably the person that you will, be facing. Unless, of course, you like to hang out with your alderman, but alderperson, but which some of you I know do. So
But
it's
they're not up for
interesting.
election this election, so.
No. But still, I mean, it's kind of an
Colleen, why don't you
interesting
go back
comment.
to the Chicago Board of Elections website and just show people like the vote by
That's where
mail?
that's where we are. Okay,
No,
so
we're
this is
seeing
a-
you.
oh. Sorry about that. I'm sorry, what was it you asked me to get my?
I thought it would be good if you go back to the homepage and
Yeah.
and then under voting, if you look down, you can see, click on vote by mail, go back up and click vote by mail. And so you can see all the wonderful information. This is a fabulous website. And if you have questions, this is the place to go. They tell you so many good things on here. Keep on going down. Keep on going down. Keep on going down. Problems and solutions. This is what I want. And then keep on going down. Keep on going. Is that the end? Okay, keep on going down.
Oh, where's it,
Need further assistance? We're here to help you. Wait a minute, leave it there. So that, like the person, I'm sorry, whoever was worried about their ballot, if you could come here and hit contact us today and say, I've not yet received my vote by mail ballot, after you give them the mail a little time to get it to you.
Okay,
So this is
I will
what
do
I
that.
wanted to show. That's true on just about every page. And this is what I wanted to show people, is you can
Yeah.
help yourself by going to this website.
But here, it's interesting, these are some of the languages that are available.
Why
Is
don't you
there-
hit on early vote, go back to voting and early voting? And again, just quickly go
Okay, so
through. It
here's the
shows
12
you all the
languages.
information.
So the super site's open now, but then here are all the ward early voting. And you don't have to be in that ward. For instance, I'm in the 4th ward, but I always go to the 42nd ward's early voting site. Are there any other?
Why don't you just point out district and maps? Because that's, again,
Okay,
So-
so here are the legislative maps. It's interesting, I think. Here's the Board of Review, the Cook County Board, the judicial sub-districts. This is Chicago Police. And here's the elected school board.
so you can look up your own map, or there's a citywide map.
There's a
And-
citywide map. Let's look at this, because this is cute.
And just remember, it was the state legislature that drew these
That
districts.
did this.
They have
Right.
nothing to do with our wards.
They have some strange lines.
Very much so.
Yes.
For instance, let me just show you mine. Um,
As you can see, very compact.
Okay. I'm trying to get it so that it's all in one. I live up here.
Can you show me what District 6 looks like?
Just a second, I just want to point this out. I live in District 8. I live up here. So it comes up, and I live in the South Loop, so it comes down, and this is pretty much Pilsen. This is North Beverly's here, this is Northfit, this is Evergreen Park, so it's a crazy, crazy district. I'm sorry, you wanted to see 6?
Yes.
That's another one that stretches forever, where it's on the other side of Michigan Avenue.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
It's like about a 90 blocks.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. District 4 also has some strangeness to it.
So you can all let your state legislators know how much you appreciate the districts they drew.
So
Well,
there's-
this one, come on, this one's pretty compact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
pretty compact, except
Except for
There's
the
a li-
theater.
there's a little bit of it that yeah, you know, this all goes around another district.
No, this
Being,
is 4B, this is 4A.
being new to.
There's something way up there.
Yeah, that's up near me, right, okay.
That's, wait, we're in, that's not us, that's District 4.
Well,
only-
that's 4, that's my district where you
Yeah.
start getting little bits of it up. Yeah, it's kind of strange because people a couple of blocks away are in different districts.
Chris, what district are you in?
I'm in District 6, so she showed that already.
Yeah.
That's the one that goes on forever.
Right.
I have written both my state senator and my state rep to complain. But interestingly enough, the state senate and rep districts are similar in this case. And way too long. So my state senator has offices way far away from me.
This is what, I remember at the time they were drawing them, I sent letters about the fact that, you know, they were crazy, but that had absolutely no effect.
I'd like to ask a question as a newbie to Illinois and
Sure.
Chicago, just that, is this process done in the same way during the census at the, 2020 when the maps were being drawn for? Is that how these districts are also done? And do they have to follow compact and all of that other stuff that?
No,
yeah.
they don't have to be compact, they're supposed to be compact and contiguous. And it is based in part, they use data from census information to try to balance, because they have to balance the compact, and they have to balance population, and
Mm,
then they also have to balance race.
yeah,
So there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes on in this, and that's partially why it looks as weird as it
and
does.
is it also like every 10 years
Yes.
and done around the
Oh,
same?
these districts?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, that ought to be interesting.
So you're not supposed to do the packing and the cracking and all that stuff.
well, you're not supposed to, but we
They-
can-
Those are
So
rude.
much of this, especially, there's been a lot of news lately about what's happening in Wisconsin. And so much of what's happening in Wisconsin has to do with the way the districts are drawn. So the
Well-
gerrymandering issue.
And it's allegedly done here only for the Democrats. In
Well,
Illinois.
because they're in charge of both houses. That's
Right.
why. The Republicans did the same thing when they were in charge.
Of
So
course
it's
they
not as-
did.
It's
That's the
not,
problem with not having a nonpartisan commission draw things up.
yeah, right. Okay, I think I can stop sharing here.
No, there's no other questions that have come in on the
Yeah,
chat or
I think
anything.
I think we've, a few people have glazed over with all this.
Actually, I
But,
just sent one in. I don't know why I do know why my name comes up as Sophie, but this is Chris. Are you hearing anything, Helene, about election security issues, or is it really too soon for that?
Not too much. We're involved with Common Cause and doing some things on election day. Oh, that's something I want to mention. But I haven't heard. That has to do with poll watching. But election security, we had a presentation, and there's an Illinois League of Women Voters of Illinois committee that did a lot of that, and it's all, fairly good in terms of the way it's done. The boards of elections have people in charge of that. There's no connection to the internet in terms of reporting results and all that kind of thing. So it's, I don't think it's a big, I shouldn't say it's not a concern. I think that they've done a lot with it to ensure that the election is secure. But I don't think it's a problem that we have to worry about. If you're interested in doing minimal poll watching, like going into your own precinct or going into an early voting site, I will have credentials for you to do that, and that just doesn't involve a full day commitment. What we're doing with Common Cause is much more extensive. So if you're interested in that, let me know and I can direct you to the correct person, or it will be in the weekly.
I've reached out to the Illinois ED at Common Cause about
Yeah.
their phone, their electronic program
Mhm.
that they have, and it's nationwide. And
Yeah.
I'm in I may be doing that. It's kind of different. But there are a lot of people who may not be able to stand for 3 hours, like I'm one of them, or who just have mobility issues. And so this would be something they could do.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'd like to also just jump in on that point. So we've always the league has always promoted the 866 vote tip line, and the way
Yeah.
that this partnership works is the league and helps sort of get volunteers, get people activated into election protection, which is a nationwide program that Common Cause has had for a very long time. And this basically the poll watching and election protection side of things, all of that, like if there's a problem at the polls, it gets reported into that hotline, which then the people on the receiving end of it are part of Chicago Lawyers for
Civil rights.
Civil rights, yes. And so it's sort of this really incredible multi-organization sort of hub of election protection services that we're really happy to be able to partner in on for, for not just around this election, but in future elections too, to be able to tap into that and really kind of cohesively work together to ensure that our elections, run smoothly here. I will also sort of say, as someone, especially someone coming from a campaign side of things, yes, we are very grateful to live in a place like Chicago and Illinois in many ways politically. There are other states that are dealing with a lot of really scary and sometimes violent situations around the polls and around elections. But we should not take for granted that everything is easy here, and there are still a lot of barriers for people to participate in elections here. And if anyone has any sort of time between now and election day to sort of help ensure that more people are able to participate and feel safe doing so and are informed around the election to be able to vote accordingly, that's why we kind of really offer these different facets of voter service opportunities.
I'll check into this one I discussed, Jane, because they meet weekly
Yeah.
and share what they found out. I mean, it sounds like it could be very effective, so I'd just like to see.
Yeah, oh no, the hotline stuff is really great, and it's something that we actively also support participation around. So if there's any additional things that I could help with, or connect you to the right people, the Elizabeth Grossman, the new executive director at Common
Yes, she's
Cause,
the one I talked to.
yeah,
Right.
she's amazing, and we're really excited to continue partnering and working with them.
Are there, just to sort of wrap up here, I want to thank those of you, all of you who participated, especially Pris and Ray and Jane, who have chimed in here with a lot of things. I will post the PowerPoints that I showed to you. They will be on the website, maybe not today, but certainly tomorrow, if you want to look at them. This was recorded, so it will be, I think I can stop. Well, it will be available as well on the website, so you can listen to this again. And if you have any questions or you run into problems, you certainly, you've got my email address, contact me, and I'll be glad to try to help you figure out some of this, especially if you're new to Chicago and you haven't voted with our system before. Be glad to help. So again, is there's anyone else who has comments? they'd like to
Rochelle
make?
has her hand raised.
Thank you.
Rochelle, there's Rochelle.
Well, I'm a little hesitant to mention this because we're nonpartisan, but the Illinois Policy Institute, which is known as a conservative organization, but on their website, they do have a chart with all of the school board candidates, and they indicate whether or not they are supported by the CTU. So if that's something that you're interested in knowing, they do post that, and they have their own questionnaire with questions for the candidates that they have come up with. So I've just mentioned that if that is
Well,
something that
it's a source of information. I mean, you're not saying this is what you should use, but it is a source.
so their website does have a chart that lists all of the candidates and whether or not they are supported by the teachers union.
Thank you.
Helene, that was a great job. It
Yes.
was really
Well,
good.
anyway, thank you all for participating. I'll post all this stuff. And again, if you have questions, and happy voting.